What's going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and today we are joined by Mark Foster and David Fenn, the two-person development team over at Acid Nerve, to talk about their upcoming top-down action-adventure game, Death's Door. So first off, Mark, David, thanks so much for taking some time to sit down and chat with me today. I really appreciate it. I've only seen about 5 minutes of gameplay so far, but I'm really looking forward to hearing more about this rad project. So to get us started, can you give players a quick breakdown of Death's Door and what they can expect from this experience?
Yeah, so Death's Door is a fantasy action-adventure set in a world where crows are in charge of reaping the souls of the dead, and you get sent to a place where nothing has died for many centuries.
Beautiful. Awesome. So the top-down combat and puzzle-driven dungeon crawling is reminiscent of iconic titles like The Legend of Zelda. Is that a fair comparison? And what are the elements to you that set Death's Door apart?
Yeah, I'd say Zelda was probably one of the main inspirations of the game. It's kind of seeing what we can do with that kind of formula. And I think the things that would set it apart from that, though, is just it's our take on it. It's got an interesting kind of strange setting and interesting story. It's kind of in like this weird melancholy world where nothing has died for like hundreds of years, and you have to go and reap out the souls of the dead. But obviously with nothing dying, that means there's not actually that much going on. So your day job is kind of like dull and boring. So people are just waiting around for something to happen. And at the start of the game, you do get assigned a soul to kill, and the story escalates from there.
Awesome. So from what I've seen of the gameplay, there's kind of this central hub world that lets you access the different areas of the game. When you're playing, do you kind of have the freedom to choose which areas you tackle next? Or is this more of a linear adventure?
So the hub is this area. This is where the crows work. It's called the Hall of Doors. And at the start of the game, you get sent on an assignment to a particular location. And that leads you to another place, which is kind of just the world beyond the doors. And this area is a fully explorable open world where all the rest of the game takes place. And we do guide you on a linear story, but there's plenty of opportunity for self-directed exploration, uncovering secrets, optional content. So there's a good amount to do in that world. And you'll also frequently find links back to the Hall of Doors, which is where you can go back, chat to the other crows, purchase upgrades with the currency you've accumulated, and that kind of thing.
So I've also seen some glimpses of interactions between some distinct characters in this world. Is narrative going to be a huge focus of this, or is it more of a gameplay-driven experience?
This one is mainly narrative-driven, certainly compared to like our old game Titan Souls. Like that was much more minimalist and more like focused on the gameplay aspects itself. And in this game, the story drives a lot of it. So there are like characters to interact with, which kind of are endearing and cute in this weird, dreary world. So they're like little sparks of life along the way on the adventure that kind of make you want to keep finding out more about the world and the lore, hopefully.
Awesome.
We've put like quite a lot of focus into coming up with our own distinctive and unique fantasy setting that we think is compelling without leaning too heavily into any existing tropes. So I think that's quite a big part of it.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And speaking of Titan Souls, you two created another fantastic top-down action game in 2015. What lessons did you learn from Titan Souls, and how long has Death's Door been in development?
I think maybe not so much lessons as this time we're approaching things differently. So Titan Souls was your textbook indie game in that it was very minimal, very refined in scope. It was all about one mechanic and exploring that one mechanic as much as we possibly could in this very like clean and efficient way. And Death's Door is us taking what we learn and taking the success of Titan Souls and thinking, okay, let's do everything we want to do. Let's make our dream game. Let's do something that's much more ambitious and has much more depth and much more to do, whilst also retaining the things that people who liked Titan Souls liked about it. So you can expect the same kind of intensity in the combat and the action and the same approach to creative boss designs. But then at the same time, it's not intended to be as like crushingly defeating as Titan Souls. It is overall a more accessible game.
Yeah, that's something I immediately noticed when I was looking at the gameplay. I immediately thought of the jump kind of from Risk of Rain 1 to Risk of Rain 2 with this project. Was there a particular reason you kind of ditched the pixel art style in favor of the more fully fleshed out 3D models?
The movement to 3D is like helped us. The fact that you could rotate a model instead of having to draw it in every single different like rotation and stuff is really freeing in terms of like designing enemies and things like that, and like being able to rotate the camera. These things are just like basic, simple things that you wouldn't really think about when you're playing a game, but having those at your disposal is really, really good to have. And just like the aesthetic of like the 3D in this like top down kind of setting is, we just like the kind of style that we ended up going with.
But at the same time, though, one of the things we were really careful of was when making the transition to 3D, we didn't want to lose any of the things that we also like about the 2D retro style that we normally do. So we've made sure that all of the combat is still just as fluid and just as fast and responsive as you would hope for. Awesome.
Yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, this team is pretty much just you two, correct? And how do you guys kind of divvy up the workflow, and what is the process you guys go through when it comes to like looking at external help to get projects across the finish line?
So we tend to work and collaborate with artists. So between the two of us, we pretty much cover everything other than art. So for our past game like Titan Souls, we'd collaborate with a pixel artist like Andrew Gleason. And on this one, we've assembled a more 3D focused art team. So we've had a couple of concept artists and a modeler working on the game for the duration of the project. But yeah, other than art then, me and Mark both wear a lot of hats. I have taken on the level design this time around, whereas on Titan Souls I was more just music and sound. And Mark also took on rigging and animation, because working with an external team, things can get slow quite quickly, and we kind of need that speed, we need that ability to iterate and prototype really quickly. So being able to do so much stuff like the rigging and animation internally and by ourselves helped us to maintain the workflow that we're used to.
Awesome. So I know you guys literally just revealed the game, and release dates are an increasingly fluid thing right now, but do you guys currently, is there a window you're targeting, and are there current platforms that you're aiming to get this out on at launch?
We're looking at summer. We're getting towards the end of the project now. We really just have bug fixing and polish left to go. So we're in a pretty good position, and yeah, it should be coming to PC and Xbox platforms this summer.
Brad, awesome. So before I let you guys go, is there anything else you want to let players know about Death's Door? Anything that you two are most excited about with this project?
I think we're excited for anyone who enjoyed Titan Souls to see how far we've come and how much more we've done with this game, because it certainly has that appeal, but it also just has so much more as well. And anyone who maybe was turned off from Titan Souls for various reasons, I feel like this is a good place to jump in as well.
Awesome. Well, Mark and David, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you two taking some time to sit down with me. I'm really looking forward to Death's Door. I was a huge fan of Titan Souls, despite the crushing difficulty, but that's kind of more my preference. So I'm really excited to see how Death's Door comes out. And if you guys are a fan of top-down action adventure games, Death's Door is definitely one to keep an eye on. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.